I want a pie, like mother would make. Give me a pie.
Discover the new taste sensation BC&T combo meal from Georgie Pie. A fresh-baked bacon, cheese and tomato pie, seasoned with savoury herbs and spices. Medium fries and medium thick shake with a flavour of your choice. The BC&T combo, just one of our great value combos. More fresh-baked goodness, only from Georgie Pie.
If you grew up in New Zealand in the 1980s or 90s, there's a good chance Georgie Pie was part of your childhood. The smell of hot pastry, the bright red and yellow buildings, the oversized pies that felt indulgent, messy, and unapologetically Kiwi. Georgie Pie wasn't just fast food, it was an experience. Loud colours, big portions, a sense that this was ours. So when people ask, what happened to Georgie Pie? They're not really asking about a restaurant chain. They're asking how something that felt so embedded in everyday life could just disappear. Georgie Pie was founded in 1977 by Tom Archie, a prominent New Zealand businessman and co-founder of the Food Town supermarket chain. His idea was straightforward but ambitious. Take the humble Kiwi meat pie, already a national staple, and turn it into a fast food format that could compete with American chains like McDonald's and KFC. Bigger pies, heavier fillings, fast service, familiar flavours. It was local food, scaled up. Through the late 1970s and into the 1980s, the idea worked. Georgie Pie expanded rapidly, mostly across the North Island. The branding was loud, the portions were generous. The menu leaned into comfort rather than polish. It wasn't trying to be international or refined, it was deliberately excessive. Families ate there. Teenagers hung out there. Shift workers relied on it. Georgie Pie felt like a local counterweight to global fast food, and New Zealanders responded. At its peak, Georgie Pie operated 32 stores nationwide. It had strong brand recognition and cultural presence, even if margins were tight and operations were complex. Running a pie-based fast food chain was never as simple as burgers and fries. Pies required different preparation, longer heating times, and didn't fit neatly into drive-through optimized systems. Georgie Pie was popular, but it was operationally awkward. By the mid-1990s, ambitious expansion plans had stalled. Costs mounted from specialized facilities, and the chain faced financial difficulties, including losses that made continued growth unsustainable. In 1996, McDonald's New Zealand acquired Georgie Pie from Progressive Enterprises. At the time, the purchase was framed as an endorsement of a successful local brand, and McDonald's gained prime real estate to block rivals like Burger King, who had entered the market in 1994 and were also eyeing the chain. Georgie Pie gained the backing of one of the most powerful food corporations in the world. On paper, it looked like security, but the fit was never natural. McDonald's success depends on extreme standardization, predictable prep times, uniform products, and high volume efficiency. Georgie Pie's bulky pies didn't move through kitchens or drive-thrus the way burgers did. They slowed systems down. And from a corporate perspective, every Georgie Pie location also represented land that could be converted into a standard McDonald's restaurant instead. Rather than expanding the brand, McDonald's began quietly winding it down. Some Georgie Pie stores were converted into McDonald's outlets. Others were closed outright. There was no dramatic shutdown announcement, no farewell campaign. The brand wasn't publicly killed. It was gradually absorbed. By 1998, just 2 years after the acquisition, Georgie Pie was gone. For customers, the disappearance felt sudden. One day it existed. The next, it didn't. That lack of closure is part of why Georgie Pie became legendary. People talked about recipes changing after the takeover, about pies feeling smaller, about quality slipping. Some of that is nostalgia. Some of it is memory filling in gaps, but what's clear is that once Georgie Pie entered a global fast food system, it stopped being allowed to operate on its own terms. Years later, public demand led McDonald's to resurrect Georgie Pie as a limited time offering inside its restaurants. Starting with a successful 2013 trial in Auckland and Waikato, it expanded nationwide by late 2013 and lasted until 2020, about 7 years in total. The name returned. The logo returned. New flavors were added. But the context was completely different. It wasn't a standalone brand anymore. It was a nostalgia experiment, a marketing callback. Ultimately, it was discontinued due to declining demand and operational challenges, including the difficulty of preparing the pies efficiently. So, what actually happened to Georgie Pie? It didn't fully collapse under debt or scandal before the sale, though financial pressures from tight margins and stalled expansion played a role in progressive enterprises deciding to sell. It didn't lose its customers overnight. It was bought by a system that measured success differently. Georgie Pie wasn't bad. It was inefficient inside a model that values speed, uniformity, and scale above all else. And in that environment, being distinctive isn't an advantage, it's a liability. Today, Georgie Pie survives mostly as memory, a symbol of a time when New Zealand fast food felt louder, heavier, and more local. Not perfect, but distinct. And when people still ask what happened to it, decades later, they're really asking something else. What happens to local brands when they enter global systems that were never built for them in the first place?